types of scriptures. There's one, the Kangyur in Tibetan they call it. That's the actual word, sutras, by the Buddha. These are diamond sutra. You know, whenever you see it, even the Pali canon, anything that was spoken by Lord Buddha, that's Kangyur. Tengyur is anything the great Indian saints, Indian pundits, their commentaries on the sutras. That's Tengyur. Sumbum, which is where this text belongs. Sumbum is the commentaries by the great Tibetan masters. So you have this kind of like the actual, it's like an onion, the actual teachings of Lord Buddha, the commentaries by the Indian masters, and then the commentaries by the Tibetan masters. And it's good for checking, you know, checks and balances and cleaning up the wrong views, wrong belief. This is in the Sumbum, which is the Tibetan commentaries. This is within the collection of J.A. Tsongkhapa's teachings. J.A. Tsongkhapa, J means Lord, Tsongkhapa, Pa means that dude. Tsongkha, he was from Tsongkha, a part of Tibet. And he's that dude from, that Lord from that part of Tibet. And his other name, his monk's name was Lobsang Nyima. Lobsang means pure mind, and Tsongkhapa means famous. And J.A. Tsongkhapa was very famous for being a gunfighter in the debate grounds. He, at a very young age, used to memorize 30 pages a day and was pounded, you know, really studied the vast breadth of the scriptures. And he's written about 10,000 pages worth of commentary on pretty much every Buddhist subject, sutra and tantra subject. So he is the author of this text, and he also happens to be the founder of what is the Gillick lineage, which is what my teacher, my abbot, was a member of. Traditionally in Tibetan Buddhism, there's Kagyu, Harmanjikun Kagyu, Nyima, Sakya, and Gillick. This is a teaching from that lineage. Think more about J.A. Tsongkhapa. J.A. Tsongkhapa, this text was not something that he just came up with. The story goes that he was in direct, like we are sitting here, he was in direct communication with Lord Manju Sri, which is, Manju means wisdom and Sri means great wisdom. So it's like the embodiment of Buddhist profound view, or shunyata, emptiness. He was kind of like in Star Wars, when, you know, Luke gets to a certain level, he's hanging out with, you know, all of a sudden Ben shows up, you know, where there was no Ben before. He was just sitting here with Lord Manjushri and Lord Manjushri. There's one scene where Lord Manjushri actually stabs him in the heart with the sword of wisdom. And so Tibetans believe that these texts were very much inspired by this embodiment of wisdom, because Tsongkhapa was at such a high meditative level that he would, you know, see these beings, or you or I really couldn't. And that I can't prove to you, but there is a logical way that you can. The way that I like to talk about those things is I often say, well, did you watch some TV last night, you know? And it's like, well, yeah, I watched, you know, I very much like the 24. I really love 24. Well, did you see the TV waves coming into your TV? No, but you know it's there. You know, you can't see it, but you know it's happening. So with a lot of things in Buddhism, the first thing is say it's possible. Put it on the shelf. Like, oh, it's possible there could be. The best thing not to just say that's impossible. Which I did for years. You know, because I think I pride myself to be a little bit on the logic tip, but you know, you should be of a mind to be even. You know, just sort of like could be, couldn't be. Who knows? But I won't say the chart of the electromagnetic spectrum. I think they say that humans experience 1/1,000,000th of reality through their senses, their taste, touch, sight. You know, it's like we don't experience all that is currently our external reality. Okay. We're going in the handout here. slightly different translation of the book. Zejung Lam Namla Chatsolo. And it's translated as, I bow to all high and holy lamas. Generally, at the beginning of any kind of Buddhist text, there's some type of prostration, some type of bowing down, a benediction, obeisance to a holy being, a holy concept. Here, he's bowing down to Lama. Why? Well, this is a Lamrim text. This teaching is considered one of Tsongkhapa's miscellaneous works because it's 14 verses. Can't be anything serious. It was written for Tsongkhapa, who was not a great student of Tsongkhapa, but apparently a beloved one because he sent them off to start a temple. Back in those days in Tibet, it's like McDonald's starting all new to teach some students, and kind of like here in the West, it's a new thing. And so Tsongkhapa sends this Tsongkhapa. Tsongkhapa is kind of like the friar from that part of Tibet, like sort of like the country friar. He was started a temple in this country, boondock sort of area of Tibet. So he writes, Tsongkhapa, can you please give me a teaching to deal with these barbarians? These bumpkins. I got to have something that, The Tibetans were traditionally known by Indians as not being that bright, not being that swift. They couldn't really, whereas Indian pundits were memorizing whole treaties, Tibetans, the average person could only memorize a couple. This is the way they kept the tradition alive in Buddhism. They memorized whole books back then before it was written down in Pali and the various other Sanskrit. So Tsongkhapa sends this 14 verses, which is in his miscellaneous. Tsongkhapa wrote Lamrim Chenmo, which is the largest Lamrim text. And this is the smallest one, so it can't be that great. But in this text is the essence of getting to Buddha. If you can keep these three things, Minjung, which is an pronunciation, Jangsam, Bodhicitta, and Yang Dakpe correct, proper view, profound view, then you've got a basis for any Buddhist practice. So this type of teaching is called Lamrim. This type of teaching originated in Tibet with Lord Atisha back when in dates 2nd century. Lord Atisha came to Tibet. The Buddha Dharma was degenerate. First, Lord Padmasambhava came to Tibet, taught a great Dharma, the old translations, and then the teachings degenerated. Lord Atisha came to sort of correct the teachings, and of course the teachings degenerated. And then Tsongkhapa came and tried to correct the teachings, and people are people. So Lord Atisha tried to get he taught many Lamrims, very short teachings, like Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, very short teachings, which he called Steps of the Path. And this is a Lamrim teaching built in that vein, Steps of the Path. Lam means path. In this context, it means realizations. It's not like some path you're going to walk. It's just, your Buddhist path is your realizations that you get. Get from what? You get from meditation. The wisdom, the Yishi Gong Yishi Gong, which is the wisdom which comes from meditation. And that wisdom comes from the wisdom of contemplation and debating and thinking about these things. And that wisdom comes from just sitting and listening and putting in class hours to a proper teacher, a qualified teacher.